Hello, hello. We're alive.
We're
On
alive.
the,
We're
on
alive. It's
We are
Halloween.
alive. It is Halloween. Hey, folks. Welcome to Code It Live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Friday, which means it's the time for the chat show, which also means we're not going to share screens. This is just us hanging out, chatting with friends and people we work with out in the community. So I'm your host, Sam Basu. And with me, I have somebody who you never see on Coded Live, Mr. Ed Charbeneau. How are you,
Hello,
sir?
friends. Good. How you doing, Sam?
Hanging in there. Our good friend Rocketman212 is here. Friday, like to say. Yeah, so it is Friday, which means it's chat show time. The new intro video, by the way, is courtesy of our good friend and colleague, Cindy Foskova. She's amazing.
Oh, wow.
So
That was really
yeah,
good, too.
yeah, and she's made me one for the .NET Dev Show as well. Yeah, she's really good. But anyways, this is Friday. It's a chat show, which means we're going to talk to people. Want to get to know people a little bit more. This started with the pandemic, but I think we want to keep on doing this. We are still missing out, hanging out with a lot of folks. Hallway conversations. But like Ed is somebody I know really well, but I don't know everything about you. So I'm actually curious to ask you a bunch of things. So this is just a conversation. So let's start with you, Ed. Have you figured out the existential question as to who are you? Like, what is your purpose on Earth?
What is my purpose on Earth? To consume mass quantities of coffee.
You are a little bit of a coffee snob.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
of course,
yeah.
the children. You gotta remember the children. So I've got
Just
many of those.
Just raise the kids and drink lots of coffee. Yeah,
That's about it. That's all I'm here for.
Yeah. So
I'm being haunted too.
Yeah, I see that. You went fancy because it's Halloween, and I'm still sticking to my clean kitchen, which is not mine. But good for you. It is Halloween time for those.
It's our new DevRel member right here.
I like it. Yeah, so Ed and me hang out a lot.
The ghost of jQuery. Sorry, it was my last one. I promise.
It's not your last one. The dad jokes are not going to stop. Hey, Eva. Yeah, we have Ed and we hang out quite a lot when the world is normal, but we actually haven't seen each other in like 2 years now, which is weird. So I want to know how you have evolved in these 2 years. But let's get back to like you a little bit more. You're a dev advocate. What exactly do you do, or do you get by doing nothing?
I write lots of demos. That's what I'm the demo guy lately. I pull a lot of strings behind the scenes. So I take a lot of customer information, bring it back to the engineers, the real heroes behind the scenes that are writing all of the cool components that you use, or the amazing tool that we just released this week, like Blazor REPL. Like that was an effort from one of our engineers working on that, and then bringing that up through the team, and a bunch of people jumping in and redesigning things. And it was really like this huge group effort at the race to the finish to get that in front of lots of people. And then now it's my turn to take and share that with the community and get that in front of eyeballs. It's a really cool tool. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's blazorrepl.telerik.com.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, we can pop that in chat.
Yeah,
but this is like one of the things that I get to interface with the community on, and then go back to our engineers and let them know what people are looking for in like the next version of it. So we do that with a lot of our tools. So, Telerik UI for Blazor, Test Studio, JustMock, Telerik UI for MVC, anything that touches the web, I've probably put my
your grimy
thumbprint on a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. No, we are thankful for all that you do. But tell us where you live and whether you like it or you want to move out.
So according to Twitter, I live under a bridge in Sticksville. That's a location that my good friend Layla Porter gave me from the Layla Codes It channel. So I was kind of I was admiring, yeah, I'll use that word, admiring her Britishisms. So she admired the fact that I'm from Kentucky, so she coined it Sticksville, rural Sticksville, to be, you need the complete name in there, so rural Sticksville. And then she said I was trolling. I was offering some kind advice to her to teach our good friend Alyssa about go-to statements and regions in C#. She said it was trolling. I just thought it was something every developer should know. But she said I lived under a bridge, so I added under a bridge in Sticksville to my location. It's actually on my Twitter. If you look at my Twitter, this is my official location now. No, but for real, I live in Kentucky, which out in kind of the middle of nowhere. We're in a small community. It's not like a big city or anything. It's not exactly a farm, but it's, kind of in the middle. Not where you'd expect a technology person working. And that's what I enjoy about it. It's because it's quiet. And, it's like, I always tell people this one, like, yeah, it's nice when you go to the DMV and you can tell your wife, yeah, just wait in the car. I'll be right out. Like that's the luxury of living in the middle of nowhere. Is like you walk in places, you're done with your business and you move on. There's no wait anywhere. So, yeah.
So that, by the way, is Layla that Ed's talking about. Good friend of ours, wonderful person all around.
So much fun.
She codes a lot, and she's happy to share. Aztec Consulting, good to see you in a van down there.
Love that sketch, by the way. We were just watching that. Me and my wife were watching that yesterday. We watched the Second City where Chris Farley debuted that sketch. We were dying. It's so like amazing.
And our good friend Jason Bach is here. Hey, Jason. Good to see you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you. Yeah. Ed lives in the middle of nowhere, which is good. There's I live in a small community as well, and like you can have all the benefits of travel, like with TSA pre-check and global entry and clear and all of that. Nothing beats your TSA guy knowing you by name and being your neighbor. Like, hey, come on in.
Yeah, like there's so much to love about being out here. Like our Facebook community Facebook page is just something to be adored. Like I share these with our Slack channel at work sometimes. I don't know if you've seen them, Sam, but like we have these amazing posts. Like I have I don't remember what the band was. It was like a I don't know, like Creed album on CD. Like it's $10. Like you want to buy it? This is like our Facebook for our town. They're like selling old CDs for $10. I mean, being a tech guy, I'm like, that's a month subscription to Spotify to hear all the music I want. But sure, I'll take your 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 20-year-old Creed CD for $10.
What I'm hearing is you love it down there. So
there's some entertainment in that Facebook page.
All right, so the whole craft of dev advocacy, it's evolved over years. Like you and me are old men here. Ed is known for his dad jokes, but like when we started, like maybe 10 years back, like things were not as well understood. And now, like how do you explain what you do to somebody who's like not technical, doesn't belong in our industry?
I don't know, because my wife doesn't even know what I do. And I've been working here for 6 years. Like we had a party the other day and I walk in and I hear my wife say, "Oh, he works at Progress Energy." And I'm like,
we make energy. We make good vibes. It's all good.
There's a company called Progress Energy, and it's like literally where you buy your power from. This is not what I do at all. So if she doesn't know, I don't know if I can explain it to anybody that's not technical, because she's about as not technical as they come. She's good at many things. Technology is not the thing.
Hey, it's our diversity that makes the world work.
Absolutely. I picked a polar opposite for a reason. There can't be two Blazor enthusiasts in the house. It's just not going to work out.
Yeah. Aztec's got a nice pun here for you. You empower people.
Yeah. Don't get me started on those. See, I don't have dad jokes. I have dad experiences. So
okay, let's go back to you. Let's go back to you for a second before you talk about the present. Like, how did you get started? Like, I think I know a little bit of your story, but is this what you always wanted to do?
Yes and no. So the what I'm doing is what I wanted to do. It's the getting here that was a pain. I almost made this not a family friendly show. It was a pain, and we'll put some bleeps in there. So when I was looking at software, it was from a very like early age. Like I think they introduced the logo in kindergarten or something like that. It was like barely learning to read and do basic math, but they threw computers in front of us and taught us how to like drive a turtle around the screen. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I anything that ever had buttons on it, I wanted to work with. Like if it had a controller attached, if it was video games, it was a computer, it had a keyboard, it had any kind of like electricity hooked to it. That was my thing. And then I got out of high school, or I was taking, different classes in high school, but that stuff didn't really teach enough to be practical in the workforce. So when I got out of high school, I was looking at college, and it's like, 4 to 6 years before you can start like working on anything tangible. And I was kind of frustrated with that aspect of it. CS degrees kind of looked extremely boring and didn't get to the hands-on stuff quick enough. So I took some courses with an electronics degree in mind, because the ramp up was a little bit faster there. So I could get in there and start, making things more quickly, and turned out to be not what I did. So electronics is not what I do, but I have a associate's degree in electronics engineering that I rarely utilize for anything. Comes back to you pretty quick, but yeah, I worked in that field for, let's see, technically it was 9 years, but
wow, I didn't know that.
I did a lot of software projects on the side while I worked there. So I would be doing my normal 9 to 5 stuff very quickly, and then doing these side projects, which took off in a big way. And pretty soon the side projects became my main job. And I bit off way more than I could chew several times. So I built huge systems in very short periods of time, using things like VB6 and ASP net web forms and stuff that nobody else in the organization would touch. And it was, I would never do it now. Like the stuff that I took on was ridiculous. And I'm like, I'll have it in 2 weeks. And I delivered every time. And, it was clunky, but it got the job done. Saved the company, lots of money that I never saw in my own pocketbook. But I got to do what I wanted to do. And that was the more important part of it.
Yeah. Well, at least your company got you like Olive Garden gift cards, like for $20, right?
No, it was $15 vouchers that we were I was given for like multi-million-dollar contracts that I won the company with software that I wrote. Stuff that won them contracts with NASA. I mean, these weren't like small. It's like Lockheed Martin, NASA, Raytheon, like those type of names. And I'm winning these contracts for the business, and they're like, "Here's $15, good chap." Like, thanks for nothing.
Troublemakers are here. Rocket Defrel. Hey, what's good? Well,
definitely a troublemaker there.
If you haven't had enough of Ed, here's your morning. No, we're actually learning about Ed, other than his Blazor persona and all the web stuff that he does, and native doesn't matter. I get that. And Rocket DevRel was wrapping up in a stream at 11. Okay. Wait, wrapped up a stream at 11? Like we started at 11, so 17 minutes?
Yeah. Did we get a raid?
Yeah, I don't see it. But anyways, well, 10 to 11. Okay, so there you go. You wrapped up at 11. I thought you started at 11. There you go.
Oh, you ended right before we started.
So this is the reason I moved it, Rocket DevRel, just so I didn't clash with you. See, I'm being considerate. So anyways, here you are in, developer advocacy for years and years in. But how did you start in the dev community? Like, how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I was building all these big systems behind the scenes with like very little real working knowledge of how like these massive applications should actually be built. I was just kind of winging it and lucking out many times in a row. So I started going to meetup groups to see how, quote, real software developers did things. And I found out very quickly that I wasn't all that wrong. I was doing things fairly decent. I didn't have a lot of best practices in mind, but I had a lot of technology experience that worked really well. So I learned a lot about the best practices part, and then I brought the like kind of the bleeding edge tech stuff to the community, where we had two different types of mindsets. I had a lot of those. I almost want to say dark matter devs. The people we meet at meetups.
It gets a bad rap, but folks who are doing their stuff 9 to 5, nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong, because
no, not at all.
Yeah,
and I love to see those folks at meetups, and they would come out and I'd talk to them, and it's like, well, what are you working on? And they're like, well, I'm working on some very like legacy thing in my mind, like classic ASP, or like VB6 forms, or some access database that they had to repair because somebody cooked it up in their spare time. And I'm like, well, I'm working on this MVC stuff, and they're like, oh, that's brand new, we're not allowed to use that yet. And I'm like, yeah, I've got the Wild West thing going for me, because I'm kind of like the lone wolf dev at our company, and they my boss is a CIO. He would take my word for gospel on anything that I chose to, technology wise. So I get to try all the new things and put it in production while everybody else was kind of on, the classic stuff. So it was a nice way to learn from them all of the stability things, and then they could learn from me all the up and coming tech. And for a while there was a really good kind of back and forth that we had. And then I got the job here at Progress because of a couple close friends of mine that saw an opening and thought it would be a good fit for me. Right, Sam?
I think that's kind of how I met you, like years and years. Right? I think 2008, 9 timeframe, maybe I saw you speak about something. So yeah, the dev community is so nice to kind of lean on, network, and know people. So when opportunities come by, you remember the folks.
Yeah. I think I was doing M3 Conf, which I still have some swag back behind the haunted house here. I was doing M3 Conf, and I did some workshops on responsive web design and a couple sessions. And I think somebody tapped out, like somebody had an emergency, and I think you were like, hey, I need a workshop like tomorrow. And it's like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry to have done that. Workshops are not fun. They take a lot of work. Yeah.
If anybody's worked like with me in any capacity, though, like if you're in a pinch and you ask me for help, I'll like throw down the gauntlet to get some just crazy thing done. I remember like our team here was like, we need an app built for Gartner that combines like 3 different technologies from 3 different spaces that you don't really even know anything about. Can you have it by next week? I'm like, sure, whatever. Just I have it built. I'll have it built for you.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. It's hard when you say yes to everything, because sometimes you burn yourself out trying to meet all the things that you have committed to.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. Binary Chef is saying, I once did a workshop in about 90 minutes notice. So, damn. That is
Speaker got
hardcore.
food poisoning. Then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
That is
tough one.
hardcore.
The food poisoning thing. I hope you did not eat where they ate. Like
Okay.
that's the worst one. And it's like, by the way, you both ate at the same restaurant. I'd be like,
Okay, let's not get derailed on food poisoning, because I know Ed can go on and on quite a bit if we go down that path. No, it's a lot of work. I mean, like even putting on a 1 hour talk, it takes a lot of effort and research and preparation. A workshop, even like a half a day thing, is like when people are coming out with expectations of doing stuff. It takes a lot of work to put together workshops. It's not easy, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to your present day. Given all the hats you wear, what is it about what you do that you really like what inspires you to get going, and what are some of your challenges?
So the most recent thing has been getting Blazor within the organization launched. Like that was a big deal a couple of years ago. So, can you believe it's almost been, I think, 4 years now, like since the MVP summit, that Blazor was kind of there. It was kind of alluded to like NDC, but it was officially kind of like brought to the community at MVP summit. And I went back to our engineering group and our PM and said, like, this thing's going to take off and we need to have components for it day one. And people, nobody's heard of it until I've obviously, because I heard, kind of ahead of, an official announcement. And they're like, what's this thing now? And I kind of demoed what bits were available. And they're like, okay. And I made some components with another engineer at the company. And we showed those to the PM, and he's like, okay, this is a real thing. We can, maybe we can do this. So it took, it's not an easy thing to launch a product at Progress. It's, there's many teams involved.
Anywhere. It's
Yeah.
it's investments, and you have to think about ROI and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I remember distinctly like sitting next to you during the summit when like Steve Sanderson, Dan Roth, those folks were talking about it for the first time. Yeah, here we are, 4 years down the line.
That was the first time I've been in a presentation, like a conference setting, where there's been a standing ovation before it's even over. Like it's, 10 minutes in and Steve Sanderson's at like demo 1, and it's like literally people standing and applauding. And I'm like, this isn't normal. We need to get on top of this now. Like I'm already drafting up emails to people at work. Like this is happening. So it's come a long way. We're up to 90 components now.
Yeah.
90 components. We've got all the, the major themes supported. We've got the document processing library, Telerik reporting built in. It's supported by Test Studio. It's got the Telerik REPL for Blazor. I mean, there's a lot of like major product tie-in now just to this one thing that was literally unheard of 4 years ago.
See, Ed cannot talk for 2 minutes without talking about Blazor, which is all good. Hey, Rocket Devrel, yeah, see you around. Our good friend Dan Siegel is here. Oh no, wait a second, this one here. Page title, yeah. Were we not able to set page titles in Blazor before? Maybe not. Maybe
not without JavaScript. You couldn't. Yeah, that's coming in .NET 6. Yeah. Yeah, the anything outside of the app tag is out of scope. Yeah,
I see.
Without the help of JavaScript. When I said JavaScript, look who showed back up. Like, gone but not forgotten. That JavaScript ghost keeps haunting me.
Binary Chef, I am. It's a long story. So one of our good friends, Maddie Leisure, she actually just got married over at Microsoft. She did a keynote from a kitchen which was spotless, and everybody thought like that was her wallpaper. It turns out it was actually a real kitchen. So a lot of us like started using like kitchen backdrops. So
my kitchen's not going to be that clean.
Blazor is what made me take notice. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of folks, a lot of .NET shops, went with SPA routes, and they're just happy to be able to do C# front and back. Yeah. Rocket DevRel, Progress Ninja program. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're welcome. You're welcome on board. I need to deep dive in your document management tools. Yes, please do, because it takes a lot of work. Documents are so key. And then we talk about Ed here. We can't get distracted. But to your point, Ed, like when you said, people have Excel and Access, and that's their enterprise process. That's a reality for a lot of folks, and you just can't snub them out, because again, that's the reality, and they have to drive their workflows that way. I wrote up an article on all the different ways in which you can write for desktop, and people were like, hey, you forgot Excel. I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry. If that's what's moving your business, keep doing it, but hopefully you have an eye out to kind of bring your apps over to something more modern.
That was part of what I did back in the day. It was, the place I worked at ran off Excel and Access, and they could never scale it. So whenever they hit a wall with scaling something, they're like, let's see if Ed can turn it into an app. And it's like, oof, another one of these. And sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. There was always fun conversations being had, though. Like, I built this quote app in Access, and then when I put it, on the network, nobody can use it. I'm like, what do you mean by put it on the network? It's like, well, I just copied it to a shared drive. It's 64 gigs, and we're talking like not modern like technology here. We're talking like 20 years ago. And when somebody opens that, they literally have to download the full 60 something gigabyte database to actually open the form. And they're like, why does it take 2.5 hours to open? It works on my machine.
Yeah, and it's true. Excel and other things, like, Microsoft has MVP programs for Office folks, and people specialize on Excel and Access, and it's no joke. I mean, this is very real. It's just like what you use it for. Like I know like big transport companies having their entire paycheck and payroll system on Excel. That probably is not something you should do, but find the use case and go for it. Whatever floats your boat.
An expense reporting system at my expense reporting Excel sheet at my old job. And before I came to Progress, like I was literally working with them on replacing that with something else. And we went through the whole process of, should we get Expensify or XYZ? And nobody wanted to foot the bill for that. And they're like, what can you build for, a certain amount of money? And then I started working on it. And, about 3 months into the project, I'm at the deliverable, and everybody's scratching their head. And I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, well, the spreadsheet is easier to use. I'm like, just use a spreadsheet then. Like, what? If you like it that much, just use it. We're not a big office here. Like, you're only talking like 10 people, and we've already spent a bunch of money. You guys are happy with the spreadsheet, use the spreadsheet. And they're like, we should just use a spreadsheet. I'm like, okay.
Okay, let's come back to tech here. You work with a lot of things, but what is something you've seen recently that really excites you, tech-wise? You already mentioned REPL. You can't talk about REPL anymore.
Yeah, no. It's cool. If anybody's watched the channel, they know I will geek out over to some AR VR stuff, and I think AR is the next like biggest thing that's going to happen. I've been saying this for nearly a decade now. It's really mainstream news, especially as of today, because of what you're typing in chat there, Sam. Like,
I'm sorry.
For the absolute record here, like, I know this is like literally mainstream news as of yesterday because of Facebook, but I've been talking about this for 10 plus years. Like, as long as you've known me, Sam, I've been talking about like AR is the next big thing. And I've also been, a big fan of just the obscure like technology that we're going to be seeing from it.
It's real. It absolutely is real. And there are so many like real applications of this. It's just like, some of the things our tech industry does at times like seems very, I don't know the word for it, like just like too much for a show, and not real sometimes. But yeah, definitely cool, and definitely the next, the iteration of the next how we interact with computers, and then how we look at our world around us. Definitely.
Yeah. I started documenting this because of what I just said, because I wanted it recorded somewhere, and it's not an ego thing. It's just one of those people that feels like sometimes I'm not being heard. So I've been talking to people at conferences in like hallway conversations about this augmented reality thing for, like I said, nearly a decade. And I was like, I should actually just put together a talk. Like people, friends will sit here in a hallway and listen to me yammer on about this garbage for an hour. So I might as well put a session together. So that was one of the first times that it was recorded. I pasted that in the chat. So 2016, I was talking about how this is going to like throw everything about technology on its head one day. So there's probably some far-flung ideas in there, and there's probably some things that came true by now, and then some.
Yeah, I remember that post. Yeah, Into the Next Dimension. I remember that. Yeah, Binary Chef. It's actually not going to be called Oculus anymore. I think they're renaming that as well to something Meta. But yeah, definitely.
We'll see. I think what they're going to do is what Alphabet did for Google. Yeah, so like Facebook is still Facebook.com. Oculus, I think, may still be Oculus. They did rebrand Horizons. It used to be Facebook Horizon. They ripped the Facebook part off and made it Horizon Worlds. So I think there's going to be a bunch of sub brands underneath. So I think this just gets them away from every subsidiary of theirs being named Facebook, which is what was starting to happen. You see that with Google. So there's
and then some of the bad blood that's tied to maybe some of the brands, like not everything else needs to be named the same. So it makes a lot of sense. But it was just like the internet just made a lot of fun of it yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's a weird name for a company. They're changing their stock ticker, so it will be like MEVS or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So they are changing their stock ticker, so that's a big change. Right now it's FB, so they're going to be changing that. And then it was on the news this morning that there's a Metaverse Metals or something like that, or Meta something metal company, and people mistook that for the new stock ticker, and it was like booming this morning for no good reason. So this is something I think it's really hard to understand, and it's one of those things where if you have experienced the HoloLens or the Oculus or any of the really good AR VR things, not the thing where you take your phone and slide it into a case and throw it on your head. That's not what I'm talking about. A real VR system or a real AR system like the HoloLens. If you've tried any of those things, they're hard to explain the experience to someone else.
Yeah.
And if you have a product that is literally so different from something that anyone's experienced, you have nothing to compare it to, you're onto something. And when you see things like HoloLens firsthand, or you download for your phone the Google Translate app and visually translate something, which I suggest everybody try, where you can go into a language that you don't know, hold up your phone in front of like a stop sign and literally see it overlaid on top of that stop sign, the translation, to where the text is translated, but the object is not obscured in any way. And in fact, the text is replaced in a way that it almost seems seamless. That's huge stuff. Like that's a big deal. And I think when we have a device that is like what you're wearing right now, Sam, and it's just a pair of glasses and it can provide a data overlay on top of all sorts of things. I saw another cool demo the other day, like somebody sitting at a physical piano and the app is teaching them how to play by overlaying things on the keys. I mean, that's something you can't just do now. Like but that's a huge, learning tool for someone That's probably even more powerful than sitting with a teacher and, taking turns playing a piano. Like, this is showing you in your own eyesight how to press the keys. That's phenomenal. I think this is going to take off huge as soon as it's a comfortable thing to put on and wear.
What is it that you're strapping on your face? I think is the important thing. So I completely hear you. I let a comment by Dan pass in. It's true. Like, a lot of the social companies take a lot of heat for, and it's not just Facebook. A lot of it's difficult. Like, it's tricky waters when you're trying to balance out misinformation and how you handle that with like freedom of speech. It's we don't want to get into that, but it's tricky for a lot of these tech companies. But ethical reasons are things to be kept in mind. So anyways, I completely hear you. I think we are just not there yet with AR.
No,
so
we'll
see.
We need the device. When the device comes, it's going to be like when Apple released the first iPhone. You had your flip phones. Everybody had a cell phone. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. Cell phones were popular already. Everybody could call each other, and some people texted each other because the keyboards were wonky. And except for the BlackBerry folks, they had that awesome like full-on little keyboard on there.
I had one of those. I forget what it was called. That was my first smartphone. It's Palm Trio, not BlackBerry, but the ones before. Yeah.
But we had those things, and then Apple comes out with the iPhone, and they're like, "Hey, look, this has just a screen, and it goes to the internet, and it has a keyboard built in, and now everybody has that device, and it's going to be the same thing all over again. Everybody's going to have something that they're wearing, as far as glasses are concerned."
I never had a Google Glass. Did you ever try that?
No, I never tried that one. That was, you got to start somewhere. Like, I always say that it wasn't a failure because it broke new ground and it inspired other things to happen. While it wasn't like a massive success as like a commercial product, it sparked the first bit of the industry there. It's like the shovel going into the ground for that type of thing to be built, and those things will come and go. There will be more failures before we get the right thing.
True. All right, looking around at your desk right now or anywhere else in your room, what is your most beloved tech gadget other than the Ghost?
Let's see. It's a little dusty in here. Is there a little...
What do you like that you have of all your gadgets that you're most fond of right now?
Got a player piano back there? When did that get there? So the big thing is literally the Oculus. I mean, that's it. Like I said, I'm waiting for the Oculus to get augmented reality. I think that'll be like amazing when that happens. But until then, the regular VR Oculus is awesome. Playing games on that is fun. PC VR is even better. So what's cool about the Oculus is you can use it standalone. You don't have to own a PC. Theoretically, you could like take it out into a parking lot in the middle of nowhere and just play with it there. Like, you don't have to have power. You don't have to have anything except for maybe a brief Wi-Fi connection just to get logged in. Other than that, it runs everything locally on the headset. Like, there's no what are those things called? The little IR emitters that you used to have to put everywhere. Like, used to have to like put things all over the room to like make the boundaries and all that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called.
External tracking stuff is not
don't
needed.
Need that stuff anymore,
it's self-tracking, has hand tracking. It's got enough horsepower on board to play decent games in 3D. And then you can also wirelessly project from your PC to it and use it that way. And you can play, AAA game titles that way, like Half-Life Alyx, which is just phenomenal. Like, it's again one of those things you would have to experience to really understand the gravity of. Like, you're transported into a game that depending on what type of gamer you are. I played Half-Life a lot back in the day, so you're transported into the world you've been playing in as a kid, but now you're inside of it. You're like, holy cow. Like, I never knew these aliens like were life size. Like, you're looking up at this thing and you're like, oh my god, it's big as me, if not bigger. and it puts the world into scale for you, and you're actually there, and it looks realistic too. I mean, it's the graphics on that are, you know, they're borderline uncanny valley. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Nice. No, keep your excitement up, because, like you said, I mean, this is the next frontier. So keep doing what you're doing. I think we're going to just, like you said, see a lot more devices, some failures, some, and we're all just breaking ground and doing your thing. So
Yeah.
So what does Ed Charbeneau do outside of work?
Outside of work right now is again playing some games. Always been an avid gamer, so I do play games a lot. First person shooters usually, or the VR stuff. So it's Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, that type of thing. Fast competitive games. BioShock's another one of my like all-time favorites. I got a coworker here at the office that we were just talking about that yesterday. So that's another big one. And then of course the kids. I got 4 daughters, so they take up a good part of my time. We're always doing stuff with them. They're a fun bunch.
I'm not as avid a gamer, so I don't get some of the newer exciting Vanguard. I have not heard anything about that.
Yeah, Vanguard, I'm on the fence with that one. I don't know. Like they make a fun game, but then it's buggy. It's like so buggy, and I don't want to give Activision more of my money to give me more buggy software. It drives me insane.
Okay, so lazy developer. This is a good one. Quake
and VR. See, that's the tough thing. Like a lot of the older like style games don't translate well. Like if it's not built for VR, then like adapting something that's not meant for VR to VR always ends up in a making people sick to their stomach, like physically.
You can do that very very easily. Like
the game. There's a big AAA title. They just like basically poured it over to VR, and it was making everybody terribly sick because the field of view wasn't set properly for like a VR experience.
And the motion and the physics of it is also very interesting. Like I tried building something with a coworker last year, with Unity, and if you get things a little wrong, it has a big impact on like the motion and how our brain kind of senses that. So and there's a lot of help to kind of get it right, but
yeah, and the interactions are different too. The UX is completely different. So for example, with Half-Life, like you're playing like a first-person shooter on your mouse and keyboard. You want to reload your weapon, you press a button, and the player goes through all the animations, and the gun's reloaded. In Half-Life Alyx, like you have it in your hand. You have to like work the device. You have to like eject the the cells that shoot the laser things out, or whatever it is. The magazine has to come out. You have to pull a new one, plug it in, rack the thing, or close the thing, or whatever you have to do to get the next round in the chamber. And then by that time you've got zombies like climbing up on your head, so it makes it a whole different experience. It's a different bottleneck in the game where that is a problem if you haven't set yourself up with the right right loadout of things. If you're on the mouse and keyboard, those things only take a second, so it's not even really part of the game. It's almost ignored by the player. So those translations don't work too well.
So binary chef, you're right. The Oculus does not make most people sick. That's because you're playing the approved things from the store. If you played something that like I or somebody else made that was like side loaded, it can easily be very sick, because it's like, so last year we did DevReach, which is a big conference we do, completely online. We wanted to have an experience where people could just walk around in our like Sophia offices and the rooftop. And things get a little hairy when you are kind of looking down from the balcony. What's your experience like when you're walking around? So it's not easy making VR experiences that are good. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody handles them different too. I popped into chat there, like Star Wars Squadrons is like pretty amazing. That's another PC VR title. So if you've ever wanted to like relive the scene in Star Wars where Luke is like shooting the torpedoes down inside of the Death Star, like that is the game. So you get to fly all of the starfighters from Star Wars in like a dogfight type of a thing, and you're in the cockpit with the VR headset on. But that game was engineered to be VR from the beginning. It's both with VR and without, but they didn't tack it on at the end. They built it from scratch, and it's a whole different game when you play it with the VR headset on. And then I plugged my daughter, she's 14. I plugged her into it, and she is not so great with like the motion sickness stuff. And I'm like, all right, dad's gonna fly you around in the X-Wing, and she puts it on. She's like, this is cool. And then I started drifting, and I started flying backwards. And she ripped the headset off, and she's like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm like, all right, we're done.
My kid is 6, and I have the older Oculus. I don't think he's ready yet. Like your mind is just not mature enough. I think like 10 is kind of like the cutoff before you should hand VR to your kids. Anyways, what about food? I know you. You're a good cook. You're a foodie. Is it hard for you to pick a favorite cuisine?
I eat and cook things from every culture I can find. So I will cook any type of food that I've either had before or have a decent recipe for. So I at least need to know kind of what it should taste like. But I mean, I'll cook Greek, Hungarian, Indian, Bulgarian, any place I've ever visited, I've made something from. So we eat food from all over the world here at our house, and it's funny because we have the kids' friends over, and they're here for dinner, and they're like, I've never heard of any of the things that are in your fridge. Like, I don't know what you had for dinner. What is this piece of meat on your plate? Like they're clueless as to what all this food is, and my kids are like, you've never had this before. They've had it their whole lives growing up. So
lazy developer, I didn't know if you are from Bulgaria or maybe we know you. Maybe I'm not recognizing the handle. But Ed, what's your favorite Bulgarian food?
So the Bulgarian salt, the colorful salt, is one of my favorite go-to things, and I even packed up a bunch of it that I made here at the house and sent it to everyone on the team.
Yeah, so, and I use it a lot on like vegetables and proteins, things like that.
Yeah, I don't know if mixing up a bag of spices is considered cooking Bulgarian food, but
it was pretty good.
It goes on a lot of things here. So it's we have a lot of fusion food here too. That's one of the big ones. Like once you kind of get used to all the different types of food, you start mashing the ones that sound good together. So we have a lot of times where we've got curry and we're smashing that into like a burrito with Mexican like salsa and stuff on top, and just like I don't know if this is cringeworthy for you, Sam, or
no, it's all good. Yeah,
like we mix it all together. I do a lot of curry spices in my barbecues. Those are always awesome.
You got an assignment because our good friend Dan wants your barbecue and the Bulgarian salt, which you haven't sent it to him. So please do.
Yeah.
We are talking about VR quite a bit. Do you know much about the gear VR pre-orders? Like I don't know much about the Samsung or the other providers and what's going on. Yeah. I only know about Oculus and HoloLens.
I'm not sure about anything outside of Oculus lately. They've kind of dominated the market pretty much. Not to say something else can't come in and take over, but they've got quite the ecosystem now. So it's not so much the
VR. I don't know what that
Deca. Is. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Deca gear.
So here's the thing: it's more than. And Sam, you'll understand this more than anybody because you tell me this about Apple all the time. it's the store just as much as it is the device. The Oculus is a pretty solid device. There's probably better VR devices out there, though. I mean, it is a really good one. It's one of the few, or if maybe even the only, that can do both PC VR and standalone. But they started early, and they have a lot of games in their store already, and that's a big deal, especially when you're talking about what is essentially a gaming console. That store has to have a lot of games in it, and if you're on Oculus, you have the Oculus Store, and if you have PC, you have Steam and everything that's on Steam VR. So that's a huge library. Where some platforms only have Steam VR, which is not as big as the Oculus library. I don't think PC VR is not as big as the Oculus Store, as far as I'm concerned. So I haven't looked at too many of the other devices.
Yeah. So Ed and me can pretty much, keep chatting all day. That's what we do when we hang out in person. But okay, last two things here, Ed. First one may be tricky here, given all of your interests. But if you had $1 million right now to spend, what would you do?
$1 million? Oh, yeah. Man. After paying off all my bills, like how is this?
That's all you have.
That's all I have. Oh, yeah. Man. So that's a tough one. I'm not quite sure. Besides, like, just being financially comfortable after that, do I have to spend it? Like, I'd invest it. Like, I have the most boring answer to all of this, Sam. Like, let's assume that everything else is taken care of. Like, this is $1 million on top of like finances just being normal and investments and retirement being taken care of. If I had what some people might like to call, like, we'll just call it FU money. You've heard that term before. If it was that kind of money, then I'd probably try to create some kind of gaming experience with a small team. I think that would be a blast, but it would have to be money that I may not ever see again and not have to worry about before I do that.
See, your good friends in the chat room are making fun of us.
Yeah,
I know exactly what Dan is talking about. Like, a lot of things being talked about, politically, and taxes are fun. Once you're done with it, you might be left with just $10. You should do NFTs. Yeah.
I'm pretty practical, so it'd be like the real answer is going to be like, well, $500,000 is going into my 401k, the other half's going into these stocks, and then taxes, and then charity, and then just living normal until that all kicks in for a while.
And this is not a big thing like stateside, but like the rest of the world cares a lot more about gold than we do. I don't know why.
All million is going into Shiba Inu coin.
Oh,
all million of it
came on just like suddenly, and it's like almost at the same at like Dogecoin. Yeah, I get confused with all of these things. I don't understand. Hey JD, good to see you, gentlemen. Yeah. Pre-order at Binary Chef. What is C8 Z06? What is that? Like a Corvette Z06, you mean?
Yeah, cars are not going to be it. Like, that's not where I'm.
That's my thing.
Yeah, that's Sam's thing.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, JD. All right, so Ed, we hang out a lot. I know you as a good friend. Tell me something about you that I don't know after 15 years of knowing you.
Oh, I'm a pretty open book, man. I don't know. You know the cooking stuff.
Yeah.
Shoot, you even know my wife, which that's
I know your kids, some of your kids.
Topic.
Not all of them.
She's amazing. She's stories on her own. Shoot.
Anyways, I know you did.
Yeah.
You're an open book. That's good to know. All right. And chat room. Yeah. Full travel. That's a good one. Veyron is. And actually, they released a new version of. I'm drawing a blank. It's a $3 million car that they just announced. So it's a good one.
Did you know I turned down a job at game studio a long time ago because I didn't want to move.
Well, some people, the gaming industry gets its own share
Yeah.
of bad rap for some of the practices they use.
Yeah, I was getting interviewed for a job at Namco, which anybody that's done any kind of gaming probably knows Namco, and it was in LA. And we had
See,
the
you would have
girls
had a
were
different life compared to Kentucky.
the girls were really small, like 1-year-old small, and it was like 1-year-old in LA and a brand new wife, like that's not going to end well, like for anybody. So that got nixed. But and then the game that they were designing, they showed to me, and I was like, yeah, I don't even like the game, so that got scrapped. So that I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but that happened.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, see, like the ghost of Namco is now haunting me in the background here.
JD, thank you. The Shuran. That's a 3 million cards. Looks beautiful. But,
clean shaven evil twin. I'll have to show you the clean shaven evil twin. I have a picture of that.
Oh no!
Sam's seen it.
Please don't. I don't want to say bad things, but no, you don't look good. Like not in a good way. Easily like a psychopathic, like almost like pedophilic. But
it's like almost like Fred Savage playing like an evil like version of me. Like if Fred Savage had to play me in a movie, there you go. That's the shaven LA version.
Wait, did you post it or where was it?
Oh, no, I didn't post it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Don't post it.
Break the internet.
Yeah.
Ruin the little reputation that you have.
November is coming up. Yeah, that's true. And Ed, you cannot be living your life on the internet if your Twitter DMs are closed. Get back to Dan on whatever he's asking.
My DMs are closed? Just to you, Dan.
Dan's using our Blazor stuff. Help him out. I've actually seen Dan do some really amazing stuff.
That means I'm not following Dan. I don't know how I'm not following Dan.
Here's the hurt. Here's where it spills out. Not even following Dan.
I don't know how I'm not.
Oh, geez. All right.
I see his tweets. I don't know. Somebody's retweeting him then because I don't know how that's working.
All right. So looking ahead at the next 6 months, 1 year, what is Ed looking forward to? What gets you inspired these days?
Traveling again. I'm coming like we won't get into like this should be a medical discussion, not a political one, but I'm getting my third shot next week.
Oh, so good for you.
Yeah, third shot's coming in November or something or other, like right before I start going traveling anyway. So yeah, I'm going to Atlanta next week, or not next week, but right after.
This is the first time you're getting out. Like I've been, and like some other folks in our team have been getting out a little ahead, but good for you. And like you said, like it should be to everybody's choice, but unfortunately, it's very political. So do what is right for you.
Yeah, and like right after the show, like I might go stream on my channel, but after that, I have this little blue icon at the bottom of my screen on Windows. Sam, do you know what it is? It's a little tiny blue icon.
Are you on Windows 11?
That's the thing. I'm on 10. If I click that button, it says, "Do you want to install Windows 11?" That's that. I might shoot for that this weekend.
My streaming PC, I'm holding off doing it because Elgato's support has been a little flaky. So I might pull the trigger, but the VM I run on my MacBook, that's not quite ready yet because of TPM and one more thing. I think they're just trying to test it out, but I'm ready. I'm already on macOS Monterey, so I trust the big guys. Just lay it on me, whatever you got.
Yeah, and I'm also looking at new laptop devices. So that's something I have to research this weekend since travel's coming back. My device is I think it's 3 years old, so I'm due for a new laptop. And I may have over the pandemic accidentally broke the screen on the one I have.
Wow.
So I'm kind of plead the fifth on that. I may or may not have. So it's one of those things that's absolutely silly. Like this is a machine I've carried literally around the world, right? and it's been through TSA and like everything crazy. It's sitting in a chair behind me one day, and I set these headphones down, and it cracked the screen. Do you believe that? It just like poof, like cracked the edge of the screen, and I'm like, all right, well, it must have hit just the right spot, or it already had like a defect or something, and it just popped it like right in the corner.
Is that the story you're just putting out on the internet as to how you cracked
I
it?
wish I had something more interesting, but the place that it's broken, you can't even drop the laptop. And yeah, so I kind of just, haphazardly set my earphones on it and cracked the corner of it. So now it's going to run, and I'm due for a new one. So I'm looking at the Surface Studios.
Looks beautiful. Looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never had my hands on it, but a lot of the Microsoft folks who have tried or played with it looks real nice.
Yeah, I hope they've got their drivers sorted out, because those were terrible for a long time. That's my reservation. If I could, I would buy an MSI machine. It's like a brand that not too many people know about. Probably it's not like Apple or Microsoft, but MSI
makes stuff for like relatively cheap prices. Yeah,
I'd love to have an MSI laptop, but that's not what we support here. So I got to go with what IT likes, not what I like. Unfortunately, but they did bend on the desktop. I do have an MSI desktop, which is amazing. Love that thing.
Well, I don't know if you heard the news, Ed, but those of us on the Macs now have a notch on our laptops. It's beautiful. The UX
My
is
condolences.
gorgeous. They'll figure it out. It's just like not everything is ready for the notch, and you might argue the notch was not necessary, but I mean the bezel is just like razor thin, so the screen really goes all the way up to the top, so they didn't have a place. Anyways, you can question some of these engineering hardware decisions.
Yeah,
but all right, Ed, it's been great to just kind of sit down. This is what we do when we are out and about. I haven't talked to you like this long for like 2 years now. It was good to have a chat.
We didn't get to tell dad jokes. I heard we were going to tell dad jokes.
All right, your the floor is yours. Tell us some dad jokes. Oh, and actually, hang on. Before we tell your version of dad jokes, I'm amazed that our good friend Reverend Geek finds the time to do this, folks. So if you're not following,
he's tweeting them things like every day.
He's amazing because he sketches out a dad joke every single day. I don't know how he finds the time, but it's hilarious stuff.
What's fun is my dad jokes. I do improvised, so these are things that have happened. I don't. Of course I tell dad jokes, but like there's been plenty of opportunities to just plug in like live things into what's happening with me and the kids. So like one day we're in the drop-off loop at school, and you're waiting in line, and this big wrecker shows up to drop their kid off, like giant wrecker. And my daughter, she's like looking over, trying to figure out what kid's getting dropped off by the wrecker. And I was like, I can't believe he's driving barefoot. And she's like, what? She's like, how do you know that? I'm like, I can see his big toe. She's like, she's like, can I get out? She's like ready to leave, I had a friend of mine. She said, she holds up her phone. She's like, she goes, I'm getting a weird call, and the area code or the country code is, it's coming from Egypt. She's like, should I answer it? I was like, it's like, nah, you probably shouldn't answer that. I bet it's a pyramid scheme. Oh God. Yeah. I was like, no, wait. You should answer it. It could be your mummy.
Yeah, just that. Okay, JD's got a joke here. We got to read this out. Why don't monsters eat ghosts?
Okay. That is a good one. I like that.
Oh, good one. Hey, good. In time for Halloween.
My wife, her fish tank is overtaken by snails. Like literally, this is what's going on upstairs, and she says, these snails. I just looked up online; they reproduce like crazy. She's like, they're gonna totally take over the tank. I was like, you're gonna have to watch out because they'll actually start fighting. She's like, really? I said, yeah, it'll be a real slugfest in there. She's like, oh God.
Yeah, we can go on. We can go on Aztec Consulting. That's good. there's no dearth of bad jokes. It's all good. Yeah, that's a good one. Divorce incoming. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Ed, thanks for making the time to sit down with our old friend and just tell us more about yourself. And I think you told us more about your excitement than you did about yourself. VR and all the good stuff that you're into. Keep up the good work with Blazor and everything else that you're doing with the community. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And we will see you all on our channel here as well. So each week, Sam and I both have multiple shows. Sam, you had some on your intro. You're on your .NET Dev show,
which wasn't on yesterday because I was speaking at a different thing. But yeah, mostly on Thursdays and Fridays, and Ed's on Tuesdays and Fridays. No,
Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Yeah. So Tuesday is me and John Bristow with our kind of tech news coverage. And then Wednesday is the Blazor Power Hour. Thursday is supposed to be our VR show. It keeps getting sidetracked with other things. We had a big planning meeting last week. I had some errands to run yesterday that were short notice. So we didn't get to do it again. It's very unfortunate, but we're playing around in Horizon Worlds with that. Yeah. We might do some Unity at some point, and then on Fridays I stream on my channel. So
and our good friend Alyssa does JS Garden and .NET World. I think Friday afternoons she does a UI and UX show as well. JD, thank you. Thanks for that. And yes, that's a good reminder. C# Advent. This is our good friend. Oh boy, I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Who runs the C# Advent?
I've got his face. I can't.
Me too. I just can't remember.
Matt Groves.
Matt Groves. Yes. So thank you. And
then we got one more thing before we go, Sam. And I was asked by Eva to promo this next week, but I'm sure she'd be happy we got an extra promo in today. Our .NET webinar.
Future of .NET.
Future of .NET webinar.
Right after .NET Conf to show you like the developer view.
I just popped the link in chat there. So the Future of .NET webinar. So I need to brush up on my Maui again. we can talk about Blazor Hybrid.
When my demos fail, you can take over.
Yeah, so mine can also fail. No. So I touched on the Blazor Hybrid stuff far early into its dev cycle, and it was a very painful thing, and it's come a long way since then.
It's better now.
Yeah, it's much better now. So we're going to be talking about that on the Future of .NET webinar, and there should be. I'm still talking to Code Magazine about the release of the article. I don't have an exact date yet, but they are shipping a full .NET edition of Code Magazine sometime around the .NET Conf, and I have a huge article about Blazor Hybrid in there. So that is like a must read if you need to catch up on all things Blazor Hybrid. Nice. Keep an eye out for that one.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So next week should be business as usual for most of us, but the week after is a lot of .NET news with .NET 6 coming out. So good stuff. Thank you. Chat room, everybody in there. Ed is famous, so when you have Ed, people chime in, obviously. But thanks for hanging out with us. And Ed, my friend, good to talk to you.
Yep, and I'll probably take a quick break here, and then I'll start streaming probably in about 12:30 on my channel. Do a little Blazor stuff today before I get on with wrapping up the weekend here. So I'll see you all in just a little bit. Just give me a few minutes to get set back up.
Alrighty. So Binary Chef says later. And on that note, later, folks, be productive, stay safe, and be well. And we'll see you soon. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye, Sam. Thanks.